Welcome to the digestive system with me.
Mary and Greta.
Okay, in this chapter we're going to cover what do animals require from food, how do animals ingest and digest food, and how does the vertebrate system and Welcome to the Digestive System podcast with me
Mary.
and Greta. In this chapter we're going to cover what animals require from food, how animals ingest and digest food, how the vertebrate gastrointestinal system functions, how the flow of nutrients is controlled and regulated, and how animals deal with ingested toxins. So first we're going to start with some vocabulary review. Mary, what's a heterotroph?
It's an organism that can't make its own food and has to depend on other organisms to get its nutrition.
Greta, what's an autotroph?
An autotroph is like a self-sustained organism, so it uses solar energy or inorganic chemical energy to create its own nutrients and food.
Okay, so a little calorie, with a lowercase c, is the amount of heat required to increase the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. A calorie with a capital case C, uppercase C, is 1,000 calories.
Little calories.
Like
1,000 little calories. So the metabolic rate is the overall energy needs met by the animal's digestive system. Humans, for example, need between 1,300 and 1,500 big calories per day. The amount of calories needed is increased by physical activity.
So the more you run,
yeah.
the more you need to eat.
Yeah, the more you exercise, do physical stuff.
Energy budgets are the calories consumed versus the calories used. I forgot to mention this earlier, but any arrows or questions must be answered so that you can get the grade. So arrows pointing to different words, they need to be defined. We should be answering most of these questions, however. Okay, so we're going to begin with the storage of energy sources. Carbohydrates are stored as glycogen in liver and muscle cells. The fat is also used to store energy. It can store more energy per gram than glycogen, and it's more compact, or therefore it's more compact. Undernourishment is the lack of food and being unable to get enough energy. The body, first when you're starving, the body starts metabolizing glycogen and fat. Mary, can you guess what happens next?
No.
Okay. Proteins are lost rapidly, but are then conserved as the body optimizes its use of fat. After the fat is all gone, the proteins are then lost. Because of protein loss, there's organ damage, and after organ damage, you're not allowed to live anymore.
So you die.
Yes.
Excellent.
Overnourishment is constantly taking in more food than needed. Glycogen builds up, carbs, fats, and proteins are converted to body fat, and it causes many problems, including high blood pressure, heart attack, and diabetes.
And you get
I would like you to underline high blood pressure, heart attack, and diabetes for grading. Food provides the carbon skeletons for biosynthesis. The acetyl group, CH3CO, is required to build the carbon skeleton. It must come from food. Examples of
carbon skeletons, hard to find, essential amino acids.
Cool. And I already mentioned it can only come from food. So, ingested proteins aren't used, air quotes, as is, because the macromolecules are not easily absorbed. Protein structure and the function are highly species specific. So the proteins must be broken down into their amino acids before they can be rebuilt by ribosomes.
So the macromolecules aren't easily absorbed, but their monomers are.
Yes.
Yes.
Next slide. Okay, now down to the essentials. Essential amino acids must come from food, and the lack of even one amino acid damages the process of protein synthesis. Essential fatty acids are fats we cannot create. One example of this is linoleic acid. It is an unsaturated fatty acid that's needed by mammals to synthesize other unsaturated fatty acids. It's a component of these fatty acids that are created from linoleic acid is a strong component of several signaling molecules. A deficiency in this acid can cause problems such as infertility and impaired lactation. Here is the 8 essential amino acids: tryptophan, methionine, valine, threonine, phenylalanine,
Leucine
isoleucine,
and lysine.
lysine. Okay, so macronutrients are nutrients that are required in large quantities. Mary,
So-
what's an example of a macronutrient?
Calcium.
Greta, what's an example of a micronutrient?
Iron.
Iron, which is not required in as large amounts. Vitamins are also essential nutrients that come from food that the body cannot synthesize. Carbon compounds are needed for growth and metabolism, and these are found in the vitamins. So, an example of a vitamin is B1, B2,
Vitamin C.
niacin,
Not
and
vitamin
a
D
whole-
though, because that's a hormone.
Hormone. Shout out to
Emily. Woo woo.
Okay. Celiac disease is becoming a common autoimmune disorder throughout the world. However, it relates to the digestive system because it causes an inflammation that damages the absorptive surfaces of the intestine. This happens from the ingestion of glucose. As a result of the absorptive surfaces being damaged, malnutrition can occur. Also, this is diagnosed with a blood test for the TTG antibody and an endoscopy. An endoscopy is when you are anesthetized and a tube is put down your throat, down your esophagus, and they take samples from your stomach and from the upper small intestine. GMOs are genetically modified organisms. Because of recent successes with GMOs, they are becoming very widely used. However, they have been shown to increase chances of celiac disease. More than 2 million people, or 1 in 130 people in the U.S., have celiac disease. You're 30% more likely to have celiac disease if you have a family member with it. Another emerging cause of gluten sensitivity, not necessarily celiac disease, is from eliminating gluten from your diet. 50.2. How do animals ingest and digest food? Here's some vocabulary that you must know. Mary, what's a saprobe?
They absorb nutrients from dead organic matter.
Greta, to you. A detritivore.
A detritivore is an organism that feeds on dead organic matter.
And these are some easy ones. Mary, a predator.
Animals that feed off other living things.
Herbivores.
Animals that only eat plants.
Greta, carnivores.
Carnivores are things that only nothing. Organisms that only eat other animals.
Omnivores.
They eat everything because omni means everything.
Yay, Latin.
No.
Or Greek, whichever one you prefer.
Good job. What's a filter feeder, Mary?
They prey on small organisms by filtering from aquatic environments.
And Greta, what's a fluid feeder?
They eat fluid like mosquitoes drink blood.
Sure.
Drink
Your
fluid.
blood.
Drink fluid.
Good job. Okay, so the food that herbivores eat, plants, they have a low energy content and they're also very hard to digest. So the herbivores must spend a lot of time eating. Carnivores have several adaptations that make them really cool and assist them in detecting, capturing, and killing prey. Among these adaptations are stealth, speed, power, large jaws, sharp teeth, and strong gripping appendages.
Nom, nom, nom.
Underline sharp teeth. Los dentes, the teeth. They can be used by paleontologists to identify decaying animals and their feeding patterns. Enamel, mainly a calcium phosphate, is very hard and coats the outside of teeth. Dentine is the bony material in the crown and the root. And pulp cavity contains all the nerves, the blood vessels, and the cells that create dentin. I believe the pulp cavity contains blood vessels, nerves, and cells that create dentine. That R is a typo.
So Joel, if you lose your enamel, can it come back?
No.
No. There are also many toothpastes on the market that help you retain your enamel and deal with sensitivity. Okay, so every human has teeth. There are the incisors, which are for cutting, chopping, and gnawing. The canines, which are for stabbing, gripping, and ripping.
Oh, that sounds
But
great.
I'm not a rapper. Molars and premolars,
God.
shearing, crushing, and grinding. Nom nom
Don't
nom.
make a joke out of it.
The tubular guts. These are found often in earthworms, and it's an opening at each end. The mouth takes in food, the anus expels it. In mechanical digestion, food is ground up physically. The vertebrates have teeth, regula, the snails have regula, arthropods have mandibles, and birds and some other animals have a gizzard, which is a small stone deeper in the throat, which helps with grinding.
It's like a Beelzar in Harry
So,
Potter.
Here you have your earthworm with the pharynx, which is right past the mouth. The food travels down the esophagus through the crop. Earthworms also have a gizzard, which grinds up the food even more, passes through the intestine, and comes out the anus. Time for some even more vocab. Mary, even though it's listed, what is the stomach in a crop?
It's what stores food before you digest it eventually using the digestive system.
Can food be digested in the stomach?
No.
No, it can't. Yes, it can.
Wrong.
Of course it can, Joel.
There's HCl in the stomach, which begins chemical digestion. Even though it's listed. Greta, what is the midgut or the intestine?
They're small, well-mixed particles delivered here.
For more absorption and even more digestion. And the hindgut is what recovers water and ions and stores feces. The rectum assists with the expulsions of feces. So, a very, very important part of the digestive system are the villi. They line the gut and are used for absorption. On these villi, they're like finger-like structures, as you can see. On these villi are microvilli, which greatly expand the surface area. This is very, very, very important, and it will be mentioned later.
So you guys should probably underline it, or highlight it, or hug it, or whatever you guys do.
Underline it.
Okay. Now we have our digestive enzymes, which are pretty straightforward. They break down the complex food molecules. Carbohydrates can break down what? Carbohydrates.
Oh, silly
Peptidases
Joel.
can break peptides, lipases, fats, nucleases, nucleic acids. Zymogens are the inactive forms of a digestive enzyme. We will discuss an example, pepsinogen, later in this podcast or maybe in the next section. That is all for this podcast. Tune in next time.
Thanks for watching.
Have fun. Eat.
Bye.